Chavrusa Daf. Okay, we are doing Daf Lamed Beis in Zichru. In Zichru, it is a lab.
A lab.
With a scientist.
That's good.
It is good. It's better than a heart, lathe heart.
I thought they would do heart, yeah. I guess they're not doing Hebrew words,
Right.
by the way. They're
Right. Their mnemonics are
like law.
English.
It wasn't low. It wasn't like
Right.
no. It was law.
Right. Call sign was a kazoo.
Except no, Lamed was a
Malamed.
Malamed.
Hard, otherwise it's just one letter. Oh, what's Chaf? Your test was a yacht.
What was Chaf?
You know how I remember Queen Helena?
Oh, okay. Well, hold on a second. But do you remember the yacht, like what they did in the video on the yacht?
The Queen Helena, who did the 7, 14, and 21, was on the yacht crying, or whatever it was.
Really?
Yeah.
So you remember it. Honestly, I don't think I ever saw that one, so I don't think I remember it. I didn't see them every day. Okay. Me,
Go ahead.
Shenadar ben Nazir. We're at the mission on the bottom of Lamed Aleph Amud Beis. Me Shenadar ben Nazir. Someone who became a Nazir but then drank wine in violation of his vow. V'nishal l'chacham v'asrei. And he tried to get his nether taken away, but
Oh, it's
and the
Chavrusa
sage
came after he drank.
declared it binding. The person sought to have his vow released on the basis the formula he had used in its adoption was ineffective in producing Nazirs. But the sage ruled that the formula used was acceptable. Accordingly, the person was indeed bound by his declaration to be a Nazir, and his consumption of wine following his declaration was therefore a violation of his Nazirs.
Look at 30. The fact that he drank wine, did he do it on purpose or not? It says both cases. He either did it b'shoigeg or thinking that his vow would not be effective, or willfully.
Okay. So, Meine Misha'a Shenadar. He counts his Nazir's term from the time that he vowed. This would seem to mean that all the time which elapsed since his declaration is counted towards fulfillment of his term, even though he drank wine during that period. Thus, he needs simply to complete whatever remains of his term in order to satisfy his Nazir's obligation. However, the Gemara will reject this interpretation, which makes sense because we know that you got to start again.
If you mess up.
Yeah, you bring your Tumah sacrifices and then you start from day one, right?
Oh, your tummy from
Oh,
Nazir's?
wait, no. Oh my God.
Just drank wine.
So you don't have to bring Tumah sacrifices. You just have to start counting
Like if
again.
you cut your hair on day 2, you gotta start again, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. But you're right. You don't need to bring karbanos unless you were matame. Okay.
Right.
Right. So in Mishnah ben Nazir v'nishal chacham ba'asorai, he said, no, you're still bound to this. Moina misha'a shenadar. He counts his nazirs from the time that he originally made the nether. Nishal chacham v'tirai. If he petitioned the chacham and he released him from his nether, then haisla behemoth precious, and he had an animal set aside already. Teitzav iser be'eder. It goes to grace. It's completely unconsecrated. Again, I think it's because we say l'mafreya. So that's why the animal's not consecrated. Amru beis Hillel beis Shammai. Yatam moedim bazeh shvektish b'tais. Do not admit in this case, where it is a case of erroneous consecration. Shetei tzev be'eder. The animal goes out and grazes with his flock.
Isn't that what the Mishnah just said? I mean, don't you agree with this Tana of the Mishnah? Is that what Beis Hillel says?
Let's see the notes. By the way, remember this is the...
Yeah.
Beis Hillel knew that Beis Shammai accepted this ruling of the Mishnah. Accordingly, Beis Hillel challenged that this is a case of erroneous consecration, since the person consecrated the animal under the erroneous impression that he was indeed a Nazir. Yet the Mishnah rules that his consecration is revealed to have had no effect. So they're saying this is a kash on you. Does this not prove that erroneous consecration is not valid, unlike Beis Shammai's position in the previous Mishnah?
You don't usually see...
They're like being...
No, yeah,
Exaggerating? No.
No, you don't usually see... You see machlekes in the Mishnah, but you don't see
A
language bringing a raya to somebody in a Mishnah saying, isn't it like back and forth?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what the Gemara does. especially like in the negative. Like, is this not a proof to you? Da-da-da-da. That's the opening question in a Gemara.
I hear you. Good one. I like it.
It's just interesting to me, Rebbe.
Okay, Rib Eli.
So in the other Mishnah, Beishamai said what? He said hektish
Hektish.
hektish. And over here you see it's Einai hektish.
Yeah.
Why is that? Amru lahem Beishamai. Beishamai said to Beis Hillel, that if someone erred and called 9th the 10th, and 10th the Lasiri Tshi, and 10th the 9th, Lachad Asar Siri, and the 11th the 10th, Shu Mekudash, that each is sanctified. Give me note 36, please.
I'm sorry, I was behind. Do you not admit someone erred and called the 9th, the 10th, the 10th, the 9th, Lachad Asar Siri. Mukdash 36. Beishamai refer to a law regarding animal tithes, meiser. The Torah commands that kosher animals be tithed, and the tithe animals are offered as sacrifices. This is done in the following manner. All of one's cattle or sheep born in the current year are gathered in a pen with a narrow opening that permits the release one at a time. As they exit, the owner counts them and lays a rod tipped with red dye on the 10th one, which he pronounces to be a tithe animal. The designation of the tithe animal is effective even if the owner failed to mark it with his rod. The Mishnah in Bechoros discusses a case in which the owner was counting his newborn flock as they exited the pen and accidentally skipped the number 9 in his count and designated the 9th animal as 10. Realizing his omission of 9, he resumed counting from 9, thereby designating the 10th animal as 9 and the 11th as 10. So he made a mistake, but then again made a mistake. Let me reread that again.
Yes,
The Mishnah in Bechoros discussed a case in which the owner was counting the newborn flock as they exited the pen and accidentally skipped the number 9 in his count and designated the 9th animal.
He went
10.
8, 10.
Right. Then he's like, shoot. He realizes he forgot 9. So then he's like, okay, I'll start from 9 again. But then, who is 9? Thereby designating the 10th animal
as 9.
As 9.
And the 11th as 10. So he got a freebie. He did like an 8A and an 8B. He should have went 9, 11.
Right.
Gosh, 9/11 is here in Choros.
Wait, I'm so confused. I'll be honest, I'm so confused.
Okay, so he did 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Oh my gosh, I skipped the number 9. So then he takes which one? He's like, okay, come back, Mr. 10. 9. And the 11th one, he goes 10.
What happened to number 10 then?
He brought it back and renamed it 9. Should I do it again? 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Okay, so the one he already designated is 10. Does he rename it? Or
yeah.
He renames
He renames it 9. So I come back here. 9. 10. So he named two of them.
So 2 of them were named 10. The first one erroneously. The second one, he resumed his count, I guess.
Oh, the 9. The law is. Oh, I apologize. Yeah, he named number 9 10 by mistake, and then he named number 11 10. Poor number 10 would never got 10. Should I do it again? Here, look. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Huh? Oh, okay. 9.
So the 9th animal is 9. I think we need to put papers out.
8, 10. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. All right, ready? Ready? I got it.
Do you? Because
Yeah, I
this is
promise.
your
I got
fourth
it.
time saying
Okay, I
it.
got it. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Those animals run away. Okay? Bring me the real 10th. Okay? 9, 10. That's what it is. So he made number 9, 10, and made number 11, 10. When he realized his mistake that he made number 9, 10, he's like, let me go back to number 9. But those animals already ran. So he made number 9 erroneously 10, and he made 11 erroneously 10. So when he restarted counting, he went back to the number he missed, number 9.
He really should have he should have continued with 10.
Yeah, he should have said 8, 10, 10.
Uh-huh.
That would have been his real 10. But he didn't
So
do
now
that.
there's 2 erroneous ones that are
10.
10s.
Yeah. A 9
Now which
and
one is the
11.
real 10?
I didn't get that far.
Who's the real 10? Let's think in this story. He skipped 9, right?
Well, how does it work? Does it work on his counting, or which one comes out 10?
Which one comes out?
So the one that came out, he went...
11 was actually really 10.
No. Number 9. The second number 9. The first number 9 is 10. Because he did 8, 10, they ran away, and then he's like, oops, 9.
Oh, 9 is 10.
9 is 10.
Now I got it. Okay. Realizing that he was in from 9, there was designated the 10th animal as 9. Yeah. It's number 9 is the real 10th animal. And 11 is 10. The law is that the animals that have been erroneously designated as 10, which is the 9th and 11th, nevertheless become sacred. Moreover, the 10th, too, is sacred, even though the owner neglected to designate the 10th. We just said he's 9, right? The law is indicated in the verse, all ties of cattle and sheep, all that pass under the rod, the 10th shall be sacred. The expression all ties is understood to indicate that whether they are actually the 10th or whether they are mistakenly declared to be the 10th, they are sacred. Okay, now animals number 9 and 11 were consecrated erroneously, yet they are sacred. Thus, Beis Shammai argue that the law of that mission b'chor supports their position that erroneous consecration is effective. So this is their response.
Beis Shammai said to them, do you not admit that someone erred and called the 9th, 10th, and 10th, 9th, 11th, and 10th, that each is sanctified?
What do they respond? Lo.
What answer is that?
Because they're saying, yes, we still believe that Hektish Taus Hektish, and here's a proof from a mission of Bechoros that Hektish Taus is Hektish. Because in those cases where he misdesignated those three animals, just a right to Hektish Taus Hektish. Very simple.
Not how in our case it's...
No. Forget Rapapa and Abaye.
I mean, you could. I'm not going to forget it because that's how he... Hektish Taus Hektish. Oh, yeah.
Answer, they said, our mission is different.
Right. Hektish Taus Hektish. Yeah, it is Hektish.
So here's a raya. So basically, it's good. Beis Hillel brought our mission as a raya that Hektish Batos is not Hektish.
But how does Beis Shammai answer this part of the
yeah,
mission?
well, he didn't.
He answered it with a question.
Right.
It's like, when two people are arguing and they're like, okay, but what about in this other case where I was right? And you're like, okay, cool. But...
So what does Beis Hillel say back? Well, it's not a proof. Hashevet Kidshoy. Is it the rod, the person's erroneous designation of the animal as 10 that makes it sacred? Umat Yulta. And what if he erred? V'niachas Hashevet al Shemini v'al Shnei Masar, and placed the rod upon the 8th or the 12th? Shemasa Klon. Has he perhaps affected anything? Certainly not. Rather, the same scripture that sanctifies the 10th, who kiddush that she has also sanctified the 9th. So it's not his mistake, it's the fact
and the
that...
That's a chadasar.
Oh, who kiddush that she... Okay, let's see note 37. The law is that mistaken designation as 10 confers sanctity only upon the 9th and 11th animals, which are only one removed from the actual 10th, but not upon the 8th or the 12th, since they are more than one removed from the actual 10th. Now, if it were so, as Beis Shammai maintain, that the sanctity of the wrongly numbered 9th and 11th animals is merely an example of the broader principle that erroneous consecrations are effective, And such a mistaken designation should similarly endow even the 8th or the 12th animals with sanctity, which it does not. So that is my raya. Back to you, Beis Shammai, says Beis Hillel, that you cannot bring a raya from the Mishnah, the Hektish B'tos. Hektish, since there's a special reason, it's Exeris Akasa, the Torah says that 9th and 11th will be treated as time to be making a mistake. But doesn't go as far to say that 8th or 12th should be Kodesh. Alright? Some nice little
So
back
hold on,
and forth.
Shami said, oh, I have a case here, it looks like Toys Hektish is Hektish. Hektish Toys is Hektish, right?
Yeah.
And they still saying what?
That case is that a true case of Hektish Toys?
It's not Toys, why not?
Because there's a special reason why, in that case, they're all going to be sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Torah said, there was that pasuk it brought down. Where is that pasuk? I saw it in a note, right? What was the pasuk? All tithes of cattle and sheep, all that passes under the rod, the 10th shall be sacred. And we said this expression, all tithes, is understood to indicate that whether they are actually the 10th or mistakenly declared to be the 10th, they're sacred. So now we're learning, but it's only the 9th or 11th that we get that sacred status. 8th and 12th, the Gemara Torah says straight out that if you by mistake were makdish the 8th, or by mistake, hit the rod on the 12th, it wouldn't be makdish.
So it's not the Toys that's makes it Hektish.
Yeah, right.
It's a pasuk that says that, even though theoretically it's a mistake, right? But it's the Torah that classifies it as Hektish, not the power of your words in the mistake.
Yeah. That's it right there.
So Beis Shammai, that's a question on Beis Shammai, or
Well, that's the response.
Beis Hillel holds that it's the pasuk that makes it Hektish, and Beis Shammai says no, it's the mistake. It still makes it Hektish.
Yep.
But how does Beis Shammai for Beis Hillel's initial question, where in our case of the Mishnah, if a petition sage and the sage released the vow, and he had the animal set aside, it goes out to graze. Why does it go out to graze if it's Talis Hektish is Hektish?
Right. So I did notice in 35 there was a bracket, and it said, Mishnah here does not record a response of Beis Shammai to this proof of Beis Hillel, but only Beis Shammai's retort from a different source. I didn't continue reading it.
Actually, though, Beis Shammai could counter that the above ruling regarding an animal consecrated by a Nazir whose vow is voided ruling regarding an animal consecrated by a Nazir.
You skipped a line.
Oh, sorry. Ugh. Actually, though, Beis Shammai could counter that the above ruling regarding an animal consecrated by a Nazir whose vow is voided in no way demonstrate that consecration in error is invalid. For a Nazir's offering consecrated for a non-existent Nazirus is completely ineffective. For a Nazirus offering consecrated for a non-existent Nazirus is completely ineffective, just as carpet consecrated for a non-existent transgression is completely ineffective. Thus, the consecration of an animal here is ineffective, not because it was done in error, as Beis Hillel argued, because it was beyond the person's ability to do so, since there was no Nazirus. Meaning, what do you want him to do? Right? He was a Nazir.
You can't bring a
now he's
raya.
Nazir.
So basically, Beis Shammai's answer could be, don't bring a raya from here that Hektish Toys is not Hektish. This is not even Hektish. This is not like you didn't do anything because it was completely annulled.
Lamafreya. You have it right. Lamafreya. Huh.
I keep thinking that, yeah.
But, yeah, it's completely annulled. So, it's not like you're bringing a case of a raya where the Rabbanan say he is a Nazir, and then you're like, here, in this case, he's not a Nazir, so this is not Hektish.
Right, and it continued the next sentence, so I think solidifies it.
Go ahead.
Beis Shammai validate consecration in error only when the person is legally able to consecrate that sacrifice. For example, if a person means to consecrate a black animal as a voluntary offering and mistakenly consecrates a white one, the white one becomes sacred according to Beis Shammai. Like he said. Okay, cool.
Wow, tough Mishnah.
Yeah, I think we unpacked it well. I think it would be helpful to just read through the Mishnah again, one time.
Go ahead.
Mishnah the Ben Nazir, Initial Chacham v'Asrai. The Chacham said it's still binding. Moina Mishash, another, he counts his Nazir's return for the time that he made his vow. Initial Chacham v'Hetiro, but if he was able to petition and get it released, then Haisel Abahimu Fereshis, if he had an animal set aside, Tetzir there, because it goes to Lamafrei, it's completely unconsecrated. Now, Amru Beis Hillel Beis Shammai, Yata Moedim B'Zeh Shebagdish Ta'os, Shetetzir there, and yet you see that it goes free. It's a riot against you. Amalan Beishamai will retort and say, well, I have a right that hektish is hektish. Why? Iatem moidin b'misha tava karl chi asiri tshi l'achar asar asiri. Shinu muktish. They're all sacred. Amalan Beisilel lai hashevet kitchay. Hashevet kitchay. Is it the rod? Is it his designation that makes it sacred? It's umat yilutah. If you made a mistake, v'nichas hashevet al shmini al shnemas on 8 or 12. Shemas aklam. He didn't do anything. Right? Elikasov Shekidish Asiri. It's the pasuk that is what makes the 10th holy. Hukidish Asiri. Or it could also work on the 9th and the 11th, but not on any other. So there's no real hektish toys hektish. Suck the Gemara. Moni Masnisen. Who is our Mishnah? Lay Rabbi Yosi, lay Rabbanon. Why the Tanya? Misha Nadar. Ba'avar al Nazir. Someone said already Nazir, and then he transgresses his ears by either drinking wine or the other stuff he can't do. Ein iskakim. We do not make ourselves available to him to deal with his Naziris. I.e., we do not provide him the necessary services, whether he seeks release of his Nazir's vow or whether he wishes to offer his including sacrifices. El im kain moina behen iser. Unless he observes on them the subsequent days the prohibitions of Naziris, kayamim shenahag behem heter, as the days on which he acted permissively. Okay, for example, if he adopted Naziris for 100 days and then drank wine for the first 60 of those days, wow. So become a Nazir, then every day for the next 60 days he's drinking wine. We do not make ourselves available to him to consider releasing him from his vow until he faithfully observes the restrictions of Naziris for 60 days, the same amount of time that he was remiss in that observance. This is interesting, because seems contrary to what we've been saying the whole time, but I guess we just have to continue reading.
Yeah, that's why it's
It's just hard to understand, but okay, you're right. Similarly, if he does not seek release from his Naziris, but wishes to offer his concluding sacrifices at the end of his 100-day term, we do not allow him to do so until he makes up for his violation by observing Naziris for another 60 days. Thus, he will not be eligible to offer his concluding sacrifices until day 160. This delay in making ourselves available to the Nazir's violator is a penalty imposed upon him by rabbinic decree. Biblically, however, a Nazir who drinks wine or cuts his hair during his term does not forfeit the day of his Naziris. Forfeiture is caused only by the contraption of corpse tama. Okay. Cutting hair during the Nazir's term can also delay in the concluding rituals on a biblical level, since the head shaving that is part of those rituals requires hair that wasn't been grown for at least 30 days. This, however, is a technical consideration and not a forfeiture of any days in Naziris. So going back to those days where we talked about Toma. Toma is what restarts the clock. Drinking wine, you just lose the days that you did. Hair cutting is similar to drinking wine. However, there's a technical aspect that you do actually at least have to have 30 days of having not cut your hair before you have the haircutting ceremony. Now, back to the top. So we said he's got to wait till day 160. Rabbi Yosi says, it's enough for him to make up 30 days. He doesn't have to make up 60. According to Rabbi Yosi, the rabbinic penalty has an upper limit of 30 days. Thus, in our example of a 100-day term, even though the person has drunk wine for 60 days of Naziris, he need not make up more than 30 days. Thus, he will be able to bring his concluding sacrifices after 130 days from the day he vowed, says the Rosh. And if he seeks release from his vow, we will consider his petition after he observes the Nazir's restrictions for 30 days. Yeah.
If someone vowed to be a Nazir and transgressed Nazir's for drinking wine, for example, we not make ourselves available to him unless he counts the rubbish Nazir says days in which he acted permissively. Rita says it's not for him to make up 30 days, because that is the obviously, according to both Rabbi and Release, if he drank wine for less than 30 days, he needs to make only that lesser number of days.
Okay. Thus, both the Rabbana, with the Tanakh of that so we just brought, and Rabbi Yossi agree that rabbinic penalty requires a Nazir's violator to count additional days to make up for the days in which he violated his vows and Nazirs. Our Mishnah, on the other hand, rules that someone who drank wine in violation of the Nazirs counts his Nazir's term from the time he made the vow. That was the first part of the Mishnah, implying that he need not count additional days to make up for the days of violation. Accordingly, the Gemara clarifies its observation that our Mishnah apparently follows neither the view of the rabbis nor...
Why does the Mishnah have to follow?
It doesn't.
The Rabbanan and Rabbi Yossi have to
It doesn't.
follow the Mishnah, no?
And Rabbi Yossi is our Tana, Rabbanan are Tanam as
Oh,
well.
you told me some rices are tonight.
All Bryces are Tanam.
All rices are tonight? Not Amorai? Which are
A
Amorai?
Brisa is basically something that was also written around the same time as the Mishnah, but wasn't codified into the Shisha Sidrei Mishnah. But they are also Tanam.
So how do we bring Amoraim into the case?
There aren't any Amorim in this
No,
case.
that Amoraim have to, not in this case, but like in an example.
Right, so then when we bring them Amorim, if it doesn't stem with the Mishnah, that's a problem. Right?
Yeah, right. But what's it called? Is that not a brisa when we bring Amoraim sometimes?
No, that's just another Gemara that's brought down usually.
Doesn't say Tanya?
Tanya is a brisa, but that'll be Tanaim.
Oh, so what's the word?
It'll say Gufa. Tanina is we learned in a Mishnah. Tanya is we learned in a brisa, but they're both from the people.
Oh, okay. I always thought that.
Both from Tanaim. We'll get to it, and then you'll probably like, oh, that was what I was talking about.
Okay.
Tashma. No, that's also like a raya usually from a Mishnah.
Okay, so
Alright.
I see how. Okay, let's talk out the question.
So Irabanan, Kasha Naziris, Meruba. Even the case of a long-term Naziris is difficult, for the Mishnah rules that the violator need not add extra days to his count. In Rabbi Yossi, Kasha Muatas, Kasha Naziris Muatas, the case of a short-term Naziris, a standard term of 30 days, is also difficult because, again, you still have to count somewhat extra, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, and our Mishnah says no days.
Interesting way to like verbalize this.
I don't know,
Just say it. The Mishnah says no days.
yeah, it's like literally, yeah, yep. Okay. Ibayas Tema. Rabbi Yossi. Ibayas Tema Rabbana. How? Ibayas Tema Rabbi Yossi. You could learn that our Mishnah follows Rabbi Yossi. Kan ben Naziris Meruba. Explain that here in the Mishnah, it is a long term of Naziris that is being discussed. Kan ben Naziris Muatas. Whereas here, the case in which Rabbi Yossi would hold that all the violated days are forfeited refers to a short term Naziris. Therefore, we can reconcile our Mishnah with Rabbi Yossi's view by indeed asserting that the Mishnah refers only to a case of long Naziris. In such a case, only 30 days are forfeited according to Rabbi Yossi, so that the Mishnah might mean that the Nazir is credited with some of the days that he spent in violation of his vows, explain the previous note. As for the case of short Naziris, the Mishnah is not referring to that case at all. I think we might have to go back a note.
Should we do 6?
Yeah. Okay. You could take it away.
Note 6. A long Naziris refers to a term longer than the standard 30 days. The rabbis maintain that all the violated days, regardless of their number, are forfeited by rabbinic penalty and must be made up. A long Naziris refers to a long term longer than 30 days. The rabbis maintain that all the violated days, regardless of the number, are forfeited by rabbinic penalty and must be made up. Thus, whether we explain that our Mishnah refers to standard Naziris of 30 days, or even if we explain that the Mishnah refers to an extended term of Naziris 100 days, the Mishnah could still not rule that the Nazir's violator counts his term from the time he made the vow, according to the Rabbanan, since they hold that he cannot count toward his term any of the days that he was in violation of the Naziris, but must make up for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
In the example given in Baba Note 3, it's 60 days, right? He was drinking for 60 days. The Gemara says that even the case of long Naziris is difficult according to Rabbanan, because as will soon be seen, the case of long Naziris will not pose a difficulty according to Rabbi Yossi's view. Okay. Number 7 is on the case of a short-term Naziris according to Rabbi Yossi, a standard term of 30 days is difficult. That is, if we explain the Mishnah as referring to the usual case of a standard Naziris of 30 days, it cannot reflect even the view of Rabbi Yossi, for even Rabbi Yossi agrees that rabbinic penalty requires a Naziris violator to make up 30 days.
For up to 30 days.
For up to 30 days of his violation. How then does the Mishnah rule that he counts from the time of his vow without any penalty days? However, if we would explain the Mishnah as referring to an extended Naziris, it could be reconciled with Rabbi Yossi's view. For Rabbi Yossi would rule that the violator need make up only 30 of the 60 days of his violation if he include his Naziris on day 130. Now, the Mishnah statement, he counts from the time he made the vow, could bear the interpretation that he counts some of the time that elapsed since his vow was made, even though he spent that time in violation. Rabbi Yossi indeed accepts that this is the case among Nazirs. Although the person was in violation of his vow for 60 days, he didn't make up only 30 of the days. The other 30 days are counted towards his term, even though he spent them in violation of his vow. Thus, the Gemara states that our Mishnah conflicts with the Yossi only can interpret as referring to short Nazirs. Because he could start from day 60, right, and go to 100. Should really just be to 90, right?
He has to make up.
What did he say?
He has to make up 30. Again, he's
he said 100-day term.
He's a 100-day term.
So he only has to make up 30 according to Rabbi Yossi.
30 out of the 60 that he violated.
So once he finishes the 100, he only has to make up 30 of the violated.
Yeah.
So
but how do you say
that's why it's 130.
I know, but how does it stem in our Mishnah where it says you count from the time you made the nether?
No, it says it counts from
the time you made the nether. Misha shenad moina misha shenadar.
Yeah, like that. It's just one long counting. And it just
So basically, I'm going to reread that sentence in the middle, note 7. Now, the Mishnah statement, he counts from the time he made the vow, could bear the interpretation that he counts some of the time that elapsed since his
I
vow
didn't
was
understand
made.
what that meant. Okay, so
Even though he
the
spent
60 to
that
100 is the time that he counts, right?
Right, meaning, but really he's actually counting from day 30, even though between day 30 and day 60 he was in violation. He's counting, what the Mishnah is trying to say now, according to this interpretation, is that you count some of the days.
He drank those days.
Exactly. That's Rabbi Yossi's opinion. Right? He doesn't have to make up the whole 60, he only has to make 30 of those 60 days, which means that you're actually counting part of the days that he was in violation.
So the 100 to 130 is making up the days we didn't count initially?
Yes. It's making up some of the days of those 60. But the other 30 days are
right.
counted.
I guess we count it because we have the minimum amount of time cleaned up later on. There's something about that makes it enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So if you prefer say the Mishnah follows Rabbi Yossi, and if you prefer say the Mishnah follows Rabbanan, if you prefer say that the Mishnah follows Rabbi Yossi, explain here that in the Mishnah is a long-term of Nazirs that is being discussed.
Which we just explained.
Whereas here in the case of Rabbi Yossi would hold that all the violated, which is here,
In the Brisa.
in the Brisa, the case in which Rabbi Yossi would hold that all of the violated days are forfeited refers to a short term of Naziris. It is enough for him to make up 30 days. Here, he transgressed. It's a short day, so he has to make up all 30. If you say that the Mishnah follows the Rabbanan, do not explain the Mishnah to mean that he counts from the time he made the vow as we initially thought, right? Because you need the 30 days. How can you explain the Mishnah to being short? Why do we say that we count from the beginning? He violated all those days.
Right, so it can't mean that. What does it mean?
Something that he counts as far as from the time that has elapsed since he made his vow. He must calculate all the days of violation that have elapsed since his vow was made and count this number of days in addition to his original term. This is precisely the Rabbanan.
Exactly.
So
the Gemara is not suggesting an emendation of the Mishnah text, but simply a reinterpretation of the existing one. So it's saying, when it said, so how do you read this? Ela'ima k'misha shenazar. As from the time that elapsed.
So
Moina misha shenadar, he has to. I actually hear that. Moina, you count as if again.
It doesn't say ki, it says me.
Right. So
you count from the time that he vowed that amount of time. So if he
has to make it all up.
Right. If it's day 30, it means you have to do 30 days to make it all up. If it was 15 days, you would have to do an additional 15. Okay. Nishal Chacham Turu. If he inquired of the sage and the sage released the vow, no, I was looking at the time because Rabbi Teddy was going to do a 9:30 Shachris, and I said I'm in. So if that's the case, I have 15 more minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Let's get to this mission.
Minion confirmed, yeah, okay. And we also have a very short daf.
Oh, on log.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
we have a day to make that up. Okay. If he inquired of the sage and the sage released the vow, Amar of Yirmiyah, midvei shami nishmel adveis Hillel. From the ruling of Beis Shammai, we can further respect to Beis Hillel what they hold in a certain case. If he inquired of the sage and released a vow, then we came into Beis Shammai, said to Beis Hillel, do you not admit that if someone erred in fault? Okay. Lav Amri Beis Shammai hektish b'tas havi hektish. Did not Beis Shammai say that erroneous consecration is nevertheless consecration? Kevin de gloya milsa to lav shaper nazir. Nevertheless, in our mission, Beis Shammai ruled that once it is revealed that the person did not vow Nazir's properly, tetzi v'sira v'eder. The animal he has designated as a Nazir sacrifice may go out and graze with the flock. It is revealed to be completely non-sacred. According to Beis Hillel, avagav d'amri tmura b'tas havia tmura, even though they say that substitution and error is substitution and confers sanctity on the substitute, this is only where the original sanctity is extended. But where the original sanctity is uprooted, is akar nami tmur. The sanctity of substitute is also uprooted. You understand?
Nope.
Me neither.
Great. Okay, so Rav Yirmiyah is remarking.
He's not even though it starts Nishal Chame Turu, it goes into the Bechulu goes into the Machlekes or the conversation.
The Bechulu, yeah.
Right.
Emphasis on Bechulu.
All right. So Rav Yirmiyah comes along and what does he say?
Let's see note 10. That is, though Beis Hillel dispute Beis Shammai in the particular case of our Mishnah, Beis Shammai's ruling embodies a principle that Beis Hillel accept and apply in a different situation. So what is that?
Beis Shammai said that hektish tos is hektish, right?
Mm-hmm. We know that, right? That's the ruling from the previous Mishnah, explained it by Abaye.
Beis Shammai ruled that once it is revealed that the person did not vow Nazir's properly, then it goes out and it grazes. It's complete because it wasn't in this case.
So you're saying Beis Shammai would agree in our case.
Yeah.
Which
because there's no ties.
Right.
There's no ties.
Right.
In this Mishnah, he agrees. Mm-hmm. I think maybe this was based off of our note.
Yeah, note 12. As explained above, no sanctity is conferred on those animals since a person is incapable of consecrating Nazir's offerings for non-existent Nazirs.
Right.
Thus, even though erroneous consecration is consecration, according to Beis Shammai, impossible consecration is not.
Right. Okay, so...
Okay, great. So far that sounds good.
So there's no principle here.
There's no ties,
so,
you're right.
Right, Beis Hillel says hektish ties is not hektish.
But this is also not
This is not hektish ties.
So Beis Hillel nami...
Afagav the ami tmur b'tois havia tmura, even though they say that substitution and error is substitution and confers sanctity on the substitute, what was that talking about? If you had a white ox, black ox?
No.
Oh.
That was if you had one carbon and you thought that you want to transfer the Kedusha onto a different animal, even though you think that it's going to make the first animal no longer hektish and the second one hektish, both of them end up becoming hektish, right? That was like a slap on the wrist by the rabbis because you're not allowed to transfer.
What's the in error here?
He thought that it'll work to transfer it. But what ends up really happening is...
To transfer and remove it from the first day. Right,
yes,
okay.
Yes. Take it from A and put it on B.
Yeah.
And that is, even though he did a substitution, his error is that he thought it could be substituted, but really it's on both. So even though they say that Tamura B'tas is still Tamura, Hani Mili Isla Iker Hekdesh is only where the original sanctity is extant, meaning it's here,
But now you uprooted it.
Where the original sanctity is uprooted, there isn't, the guy was never a Nazir, is Akir Nami Tamur, then the sanctity as a substitute is also uprooted. 14, that is. Person names animal B as a substitute. Oh, they also called him animal B. For animal A, which was the sacrificial animal. And the sanctity of animal A is then released by a sage or panel. The sanctity of B is also cancelled, since release by a sage or panel is retroactive. Fine, I've been waiting for them to say this entire time. It follows that animal A was never sacred. Now, although Beis Hillel agree in a case of substitution that erroneous consecration is valid.
Right. In a case of substitution, the reason it works is because hektish toys
Hektish.
is hektish.
That does not extend to impossible.
He doesn't say hektish toys hektish in a case of non-stop, in a regular case, not a substitute case.
Right.
He only says hektish toys hektish in a case of substitute.
It's more, yeah.
But over here, he would not even say, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel both say hektish toys hektish in a case of substitute.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason over here it's not hektish toys hektish in the case of a substitute is because it was uprooted.
Right. Thus, Beis Shammai's position in the case of erroneous consecration, thus from Beis Shammai's position in the case of erroneous consecration, we can deduce what Beis Hillel would hold in the case of erroneous substitution. A simile. The same way that Beis Shammai hold by erroneous consecration, that it's uprooted. Beis Hillel would hold by erroneous tamur, that it's uprooted.
Right, because he says by substitution, hektish toys hektish, so we can compare the two.
Great. We get to the Mishnah?
We could try.
Okay. Amar Mar. Iatam moedim she'il karl she asiri. Itmar.
Do you not admit that if someone erred and called the 9th, the 10th?
This was what Beis Shammai said to Beis Hillel.
Yeah.
You see a raya, hektish b'tayis hektish, because they all become sacred.
Yeah. And then Rabbi Sil said what?
Hillel said back,
Oh,
no,
the
it's only,
pasuk, right.
it's possible, yeah. Itmar. Meiser. With regard to animal ties. Reb Nachman Omer. To usai v'loy kavanasai. His mistake can make the 9th sacred, but not his deliberate designation. Oh, interesting. Only if a person mistakenly designates the 9th or 11th animal as a 10th as a sacred knife, but does so deliberately. So that's Reb Nachman. Chista v'Rav Huna Amri to usai v'kol shekein kavanasai. His mistake sanctifies the 9th,
Geschmack of peace.
and certainly his deliberate designation does so.
Geschmack of peace.
Okay. According to Reb Chista and Rav Huna, the Mishnah which describes a situation of incorrect tithe decision as one in which a mistake does not mean to imply that deliberate designation would be ineffective. Okay. It's showing the more novel one. Amrle Rav Nachman. Okay, so now we have Machekes Nachman and Reb Chista and Rav Huna. So Amrle Rav Nachman. Lidi dacht Amr to Usa v'lo kavanasa. According to you, he says it's only if it's a mistake but not deliberate. Tika Amri Beis Shammai leBeis Hillel. How do you explain the fact that Beis Shammai state to Beis Hillel in our Mishnah? Yat moedim shilu karl shi asir asir shi lachar asar asiri sheshlashta mukdashim ve'eshtiku Beis Hillel, and you're saying Beis Hillel remains silent. So note 18 says they didn't actually remain silent. They refuted Beis Shammai's argument by proving from the case of the 8th and 12th animals that the sanctity of animal tithes is by scriptural decree. Rather, Rabbi means that Beis Hillel remained silent from pointing out an inherent flaw in Beis Shammai's argument. Why did Beis Hillel instead find it necessary to introduce a new case of the 8th and 12th animals in order to prove their point? Let's continue. Lame Rulahain, if you're correct, Beis Hillel should have said the following to Beis Shammai. Ma'alamaiser shekin einu kadosh b'kavana. What can you prove from animal ties, which is different in that the 9th animal is not sacred if it was consecrated deliberately? Since according to Rav Nachman, it wouldn't work deliberate, and he here, deliberate, well, everything was a mistake. So sorry, let's see note 19. In the very case that Beis Shammai adduced as proof, Beis Hillel should have pointed out that the incorrect designation would not be effective if done deliberately. This would serve to prove that the effectiveness of the ruinous consecration of the 9th and 10th must be due to a scriptural decree. Otherwise, how could we explain the fact that unlike all other consecrations, the 9th animal cannot be deliberately consecrated as the 10th? And thus, if Renachman is correct in his assertion that deliberate consecration of the 9th animal is not effective, then Beis Hillel should have seized upon this point to demonstrate why did they not do so. Okay, so I thought it was a mistake, but in the end of the day, once he realized his mistake, he did deliberately make the 9th one the hekdesh, and yet you see it does work. Okay, I guess we'll.
Yeah, we're going to finish this off on our own.
Okay.
And then we are going to, I'm back on Sunday. I'm going away for Shabbos.
All right. So wait, this was Friday's daf is 32.
32,
Shabbos is 33.
which is very short.
Great. So we'll pick up on that Mishnah on 34, close to the top.
Okay.
Sunday. And you'll need to have your next
Tomorrow for Sunday.